See, that was the day we got to ball out. I was grade 8 or 9, and it would be like PA day or whatever, right? But both my parents had to work, so I was babysitting all day. Dude, we made Nutella crepes for lunch.
I was editing one of our last podcast episodes. The one specifically where you, Sam, showed Tim the commercial of the guy, the point of view of the man that is overweight and his habits in his life.
Remember that one?
Yeah, that was heavy.
So while I was trying to grab that off of YouTube, I noticed that they had another video. And I was like, well, I like their stuff. I'll watch it. And then as soon as I watched it, I was like, this is exactly the video that Sam and Tim should watch. So
I'm nervous.
same people have made it.
Yeah.
This is called, I actually don't remember what it's called. Food Parenting for Peyton.
Wow.
Here we go.
Okay. Hit us.
Here we go, monkey. You want to try some veggies? We got the try for mommy, please. Happy birthday to icing.
Yeah, we had another birthday today.
Let's try our veggies. 100% juice, huh?
Even if the juice is 100% juice, it's very damaging to a child's teeth.
They're baby teeth. It doesn't matter. They're going to fall out anyway.
No.
I don't want her to have juice.
I get it. I totally know what you're saying.
And if I do it for one child,
I want a cookie now. I want french fries.
I'm not going to give her fruit squares for breakfast. Here we go.
I'm making smoothies. He's loving it.
She really seems to like smoothies. Smoothies by themselves are just sugar in disguise.
What do you have it?
Come here. Someone had chocolate ice cream. Please just help me out here.
I'm allowed to spoil my grandchild.
Oh, you want some jelly beans?
You can't bribe her. And
One more bite, baby, and we'll get you some ice cream.
that's not the way it's going to work, okay? No.
We were raised on
You were raised on it.
We ready for dinner?
I don't want that. I don't.
No. We do not throw our food.
Let's see that, okay?
Mommy.
Dude. So that's amazing. That's cool. So they did the POV from the parent.
And the mom's trying hard to not get her to eat. But
Yeah,
then
it's
it's
hard.
like too many external, like dad's letting it have ice cream.
Yeah,
Grandma's letting ice cream. The teacher is giving juice to every kid.
Right.
Right?
What is strongforlife.com? What are they doing? Are they offering
Giving
resources to
better-
parents?
Like you're not alone anymore on how to help your kid.
It's like resources.
They offer resources. Yeah. That's cool. Cause I like that. Cause I should look into that. That's like, that's cool to see stuff like that coming out. Cause it's like that actually is realistic and practical for like parents in real life, instead of just being like, just do this. It's like, it's not that simple.
Well, because they're getting an unsolicited advice from like their friends, right?
Mhm.
Oh, it's baby teeth; they'll fall out. It's like that's not a good excuse to give your kid sugar.
Right.
Having your kid, I understand. Like, it's hard for us to touch on this because we don't have kids yet,
Mhm.
so we don't know what we'll have to go through.
I will say, though, I thought of that point, which
Okay.
is why I showed it to you as well, because looking at it from both your own personal childhoods growing up,
Yeah.
but also how that will form your future, because I'm assuming, as you've mentioned previously, that you want kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious about the ideologies that you both share when it comes to how you would raise your child in that way.
So what I have to say about that is that this video looks very much so like what's happening in 2024, where, this kid is getting what it wants because some parents don't want to discipline potentially. When we both grew up, I'll talk for both of us, and then both our sets of parents were very, 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 very strict with what we ate. And we were not allowed to scream and act like that. And we didn't scream and act like that. We just ate what was on our plate, which was very healthy. So my mom would make any type of meat or fish with veg, and then a carb. So like a rice or a potato, sweet potato, something like that. That was like pretty much the majority of dinners. Now there would be like a homemade pizza. Everything was we were not allowed any pop in the house. No sugar pop. We only were allowed pop when we went out to dinner as a treat. There was very little candy for a night snack, right? While we were watching TV at night, my dad just cut us up a bunch of different fruits and each gave us a bowl of fruit. And we loved that. We were always excited for our fruit bowl. Like we didn't want a bowl of chips.
Mm-hmm.
Were there sometimes chips in the house? Yes. But the memories that I have, there was a huge lack of junk food, but also a huge like it didn't feel like I was missing out.
Why?
Because I don't I think just we weren't allowed to like make a scene about it. And we still got to eat. Like if we were hungry, we still had a snack. But I remember choosing, and I have like on my Instagram, if you scroll way back, I would choose like a green apple and peanut butter as a snack. Like I was obsessed with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be my snack. Now, mind you, maybe I had
What a horrible combo. Sour green apple with peanut butter.
Have you ever tried it?
I've done a regular, like a red gala apple.
No.
I don't want sour with my peanuts,
apple. I'm telling you,
dude.
the green apple with the peanut butter, it'll change your life.
It offsets it. It's actually really good.
Does
It's
it?
insane.
I'll
Tim.
stay open-minded to it.
It's insane.
You guys are disgusting, but I'll stay open-minded.
Once you can eat apples again, you need to try it.
Yeah,
It's
apples bug me.
insane. But let me just finish my train of thought. the things are going down because the train's coming. But one thing I'll say about that is when I did get some freedom in university, right? When I moved out of the house and for the first time, you're doing all the grocery shopping for yourself. You're doing all the cooking for yourself. So what might have been easy for me at that point to be like, well, I've never had these like crap foods. Like, let me just go buy those crap foods and try them. That wasn't the issue for me. I still remember cooking all my food from like whole food sources. The issue I started having was the portion. I would just cook too much, and then because I was raised to finish everything on my plate, I would finish the whole portion.
That's a classic one.
Right? So I would cook. So I remember when I was living in North York near York University, my go-to dinner that I think I almost made every night was like this veggie meat stir fry. But then I would like sprinkle cheese on it and have the cheese melt, and I would just have the stir fry like every single night.
Yeah.
But I was in the kitchen chopping everything up, cooking everything, like, and then my roommates would come. They would just pop pizza pockets in the microwave and whatever. And I still like have I eaten pizza pockets? Like obviously, but I feel like I always gravitated towards like the more junk food, like if I was drunk or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the drunk munchies, it would be like salty, like pizza pockets, something, or Chinese food or whatever. But it was like, if I had I don't know, I guess like my food choices have always been good because I wasn't allowed to freak out like that to get what I wanted, like to get jelly beans or something, like, because they just wouldn't give me food then.
Yeah, like the thing that my parents did, which is like probably a double-edged sword. So I won't say that it was necessarily a net positive or a net negative. I don't know, but I will admit that there's definitely a double-edged sword. Like there's cons that come with the pros, and the one where it's like, and this is a classic one with a lot of people our age, I think, with how their parents raised them, is like you had to eat everything on your plate at dinner. Otherwise, you couldn't have dessert or something after. My family didn't have dessert unless it was special occasions. But if there was, you had to eat everything on your plate. And even if, actually, I remember having to eat everything on your plate regardless. now that I'm saying it,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't have dessert much. But I do remember like my sister and myself, like the two oldest, because I have 4 younger siblings, but myself and at least my sister is younger than me. I remember both of us having situations where we didn't, and then my dad would just throw it in the fridge and we eat it for breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe more intense than what you had. I don't know.
No, we weren't.
But-
We weren't allowed to leave the table until our plate was done.
I mean, we weren't either, but if
Yeah.
we did, then it was just like, cool, you're just going to eat it for breakfast,
Yeah, we just
which is pretty intense.
yeah.
So,
And that's crazy too because they plated your food, right? Like if you
Yeah.
got to put the amount on your plate, you could be like, I'm not feeling that hungry, so I might just put a smaller portion that I know I can finish. It was like my mom plated it,
Mhm.
and then I had the burden of like, now you have to finish it.
Yeah. And like, I would argue that that's probably not healthy, because
Yeah.
the problem with that, of course, you want to get your kid to eat their vegetables, and you got to find practical way to do that. But well, I shouldn't say just eat their you want them to eat healthy. And the problem with that, I think, at least using that strategy, is you're telling a kid from a young age to override their biological cues,
Mhm.
which sure, kid
Mhm.
probably isn't entirely self-aware. So hence why they need parents. But when you take that away, I think it's hard for them to develop that on their own. So then they end up just being like learning from a young age, I think, to like just to ignore how they feel and just to eat it anyway, which can create disordered eating down the road big time. I think a lot of people actually have that problem where they don't necessarily actually eat unhealthy. They just, their disordered eating pattern may be rooted in that, and then it developed into something where they just end up binge eating, or they're prone to binge eating regardless of the food source. So it's not that they're eating ice cream and Skittles and Reese's and whatever at the end of the day, or whatever their thing is. It's like it's all quote unquote healthy whole food meals, but they just keep going. So it's the same underlying problem.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I see that because of the people that I work with. It's like with the nutrition coaching that I offer, it's like it's all habit based, it's all lifestyle strategy stuff. And it's dealing with like how we look at food and how we pay attention to like our own body cues and just being aware of that. So I think if like from a young age, if you're being told to ignore that, that can be a big hole to try and dig out of as an adult, when you're like, no, I quote unquote eat healthy,
Mhm.
but it can be a massive barrier to like a healthy relationship with food, regardless of what the food actually is.
Yeah, because of like the force feeding or whatever too. Like you
It's
said,
kind of what it is.
get rid of the biological cues.
Yeah.
And then like, so I have a client, still relatively new client, and you know, she'll message, like I won't hear from her when I'm supposed to hear from her. So then she'll message, she'll be like, yesterday was horrible. Like I ate everything in sight, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's also a problem, right? Because people use it. They had the bad habits and then they use it when they're stressed.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's like they might not even feel their hunger cues because their body's so preoccupied with a different emotion. And they're like, well, at least eating this right now kind of makes me feel better, until it doesn't, because then they ate too much and then they regret it. And then it's just a horrible cycle. So my advice in that moment is like, you know, get knocked down 100 times, get back up, right? Like if you have to restart the next day, that's okay. Like I'm not expecting perfection right away. These habits, like the video said, you could have these habits develop from 3 years old.
They all do. Most habits do.
So I'm not expecting any of my clients to completely build new habits within the matter of like even months, when they've been having these habits for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I think just slow and steady wins the race, in terms of like changing your habits and being conscious of your biological cues. Cause that's like what your program really focuses in on, is like, you know, don't eat till you're stuffed. Right. Don't worry about offending Aunt Sharon over there.
Yeah. The social pressure is a big
right?
one.
Because you're a lot, thing I like that your program does is like the stacking no's, right? So it's like, if you have to say no because you have goals for your health and you want to make a change, don't worry about like offending people by feeling like you have to say yes to like eating that second piece of cake or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then one more thing I want to touch on. So we have 2 little dogs. And the vet said that one of them is getting a little too fat, right? So those dogs are kind of like, dogs are not children, okay? But those dogs are a good kind of practice of how, or at least a good like realization of like, the dogs only are going to get fat because we feed them. Like they can't feed themselves. Same with the kids, right? So that's totally on us if our dogs are gaining weight, right? They don't get as much exercise in the winter because it's too cold, whatever. So they're on a diet now, right? And what have we been noticing? Because sometimes Maggie doesn't finish her food,
Right.
and then we just take the food away. Okay, she's not hungry. She left her bowl. Let's just take the food away, right? We don't shove her face in the bowl and make her finish it, right? But it's like now we're pulling back food portions. Now it doesn't even matter what's in the bowl. Like they'll finish it because now they're hungry. So I would kind of use that same principle to kids, right? Like, oh, you're not hungry for lunch? That's fine. Because eventually they're going to be hungry and they're going to eat what's on their plate because they're hungry. And that hunger overrides the want for a certain type of food, right? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, once you're in a state where you're effectively being starved, which is what like a diet would be. It's like, yeah, you do. That's a natural, I think, response to your body wanting like to preserve itself.
Yeah.
It's like, you can see it in Finley's eyes. He's like, I need to eat. You can see,
like
he's in a caloric deficit.
Yeah. Yeah. He like will eat anything. And that's how it feels like at the end of prep sometimes. It's like, I don't want chocolate and I want the biggest bowl of oatmeal you've ever seen.
This is why like I think like with kids, if you can figure out a blend, like I think what happened was like health conscious parents that parented our generation, they were very focused, and a lot of people still are in our culture and culture in general, which is what I see like with my clients. I'm seeing that like in reality is like they put a massive focus on they put a big focus on the foods, like what are healthy foods and what are not healthy foods. And the parents would determine that. And then you were, like similar you had with me where it's like, we weren't really allowed pop except on special occasion because pop they deem that an unhealthy food. And then, whole wheat bread, healthier than white. So my dad would never allow white bread in the house. Like I remember seeing kids with like white everything bagel with herb and garlic cream cheese. And I was like, that is living, dude.
Yeah.
That's living, And I was like, yeah, I didn't get that, but I wanted that so bad.
Yeah.
But my dad and my parents, my mom and my dad, they're both like very focused on like what the kids are eating, which is good. But the problem with that is it's one dimensional instead of kind of taking a more holistic approach, which would consider the habits around the food, which is equally as important, if not more, in my opinion. So I would be concerned with what my kids ate, but I would be pairing that with like a perspective of how they're eating and why they're eating. Because I think that matters just as much, if not more.
So what do you think about traditional meal times? Like breakfast, lunch, dinner? Like what if our kid has a good sized breakfast, but then isn't really hungry for lunch, but they want to eat around 3, and then you know what I mean? Because you also get like conventional meal times. So let's say 8 a.m. breakfast, noon lunch, and like 6 p.m. dinner. They might not fit some people's biological hunger cues and stuff like that. But then you also feel that like guilt and pressure of like, well, it's family dinner time. Like I couldn't even imagine to eat, but everyone's sitting down for dinner. You know what I mean? Like, how would you deal with like your kid having more off meal time?
I think I'd be open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the key there would be developing some type of rhythm.
Okay.
Like some type of routine. It just might not be a traditional routine.
Sure.
So maybe it isn't breakfast, lunch, at dinner at 8, 12, and 5. It's different. And I don't think that's as important. I would hold a lot of like sentimental value on family dinner, but besides that, I don't think it matters as much when. Like even my youngest brother, it's like he's learned to, I think, and he's learning even more now to develop like a routine of like when, especially now that he's more in control of his food as he's getting older
Mhm.
and not becoming an adolescent. It's like seeing him kind of learn these skills of like just paying attention to when he's hungry and then when he wants to eat. And I think naturally he doesn't eat breakfast, or at least he puts it a little bit later. And
Mhm.
I don't see that as more or less healthy. I just see it as like a classic, it works for me.
Yeah.
So for him, it's like it works for me. You know what I mean?
Plus the whole thing of the family dinner. Like, I wouldn't have a problem. Say we have family dinner at 6, but we have a kid that likes to eat at 8 p.m. or something. I wouldn't have a problem if they just sat there. Like, they don't
Right.
need to eat. It's just more about the quality time, right? The food just happens to be there, and you have to eat to live, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm open to that as well. Just like, yeah, you can eat whenever you want, but like at this time, we're all spending time together, kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We're gonna find out.
Hopefully we do.
Yeah.
If God blesses us with
We are
children.
so blessed.
But yeah, Alex, I want to hear about your experience, if you would share.
Hello. I returned to the mic.
Alex is back. He left for like a couple hours, but he's back now.
I did. Yeah.
He left us solo, just figuring out all these cameras.
Wow, that's time
Why is
travel.
everything out of focus? No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
Yeah, we started tampering with stuff and pushing buttons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was the Crocs.
What do you want to know?
Like what was your experience with food as a kid? From a parenting, from like your parents, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I come from a European background, so there's a very different. I don't know. I think it's different because I've experienced, like, I've had dinners with Canadians, like, you know, Canadian born and raised kind of thing.
Yep.
European, it's like, here's everything on the table. Kind of go at it until you don't want to eat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there was necessarily kind of a regimented thing. I didn't have, at least in my experience, I didn't have the whole finish your plate, then you can leave.
Mm.
It was more so eat as much as you want, and then you're done, basically, when you're done. Which I think is, looking at it now, I think it's more of a negative because you're basically like just stuffing yourself until you can't eat anymore. Which, you know, when you have like kind of like everything on the table, and from a European kind of standpoint of there's so much variety there, you want to eat everything, that it just feels like there's no limit to it. At least I found.
Actually, yeah, my childhood was very similar to that with my immediate family and my extended family.
Oh, so you didn't, but then, like, so then you got to choose what you put on your plate?
Maybe, I guess at a young age we would have, but even at a young age, it was still like keep eating, like constantly having seconds. Like my family, it was all like, I remember going to friends, this might be similar to you, Alex. I would go to friends' places for dinner, and I still remember some specific situations. They put me a little bit of pasta, a little bit of iceberg lettuce, and like a little bit of chicken or whatever it is. I'm like, and then I look around, I'm like, that's all they made. And I'm like, no way. Because like I was used to my aunts and my mom just being like, all right, you want another plate? Go help yourself. Go have another plate. You know, like we made lots of lasagna. Just keep eating it.
But that's just special occasions, though. That's when you're with the aunts and stuff. Like,
no,
like,
that was normal. Like we would have like me and my siblings were all known to eat really good. And I still remember actually one situation in particular where going over to someone's house and the mom's like, your kids eat really good. And what she meant is we eat a lot. And because I remember me and my sister just kept asking for more. And every kid just had one plate. And we're like, you guys aren't hungry? This is mac and cheese. Like, what are you
no,
talking
but that's
about?
because you didn't get mac and cheese at home.
Sure we did. All the time.
Oh.
Yeah, all the time.
But the healthy version.
Yeah, my dad would try and do it homemade as much as possible. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was like, regardless, we just ate a lot. It was always like have seconds, just keep going until, so it was very similar in that sense. And then if you go to other people's houses where they just didn't put value on like the food at dinner, they were just like, yeah, we just eat and then we're done. It's like, no one cares about like eating till you can't anymore.
Alex, did both your parents do the cooking or just one or the other? Okay. So same with me.
Same with me, yeah.
So my mom, your dad cooks now.
Well, he just does 4 times a year. Special occasions.
He just does a special occasions.
Yeah.
My dad is the exact same.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't cook unless it's Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
My dad made us grilled cheese once.
Oh, yeah.
He just cut the bowl of fruit. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
And he did that every night.
Nice.
That was good. He cut them beautifully.
Hell yeah.
Cleaned them and cut them perfect.
Yeah.
Right. He couldn't
So
couldn't
when you were a
cook.
kid, then when you're done your first plate, your mom wouldn't say, "You guys want seconds? There's more."
Not on the day to day, because I remember, I have more memories of us like sitting there trying to finish the first plate
Oh, okay.
because she loaded it up like pretty good on the first plate.
Okay.
But like for holidays, the plate, the bowl, like the family style was on the table, so you could take how much you want.
Mm-hmm.
But for day to day, she plated it,
Okay.
and she was generous. I didn't have like
I
don't
didn't
know.
have any situations. I bet you she couldn't outplate me and my siblings.
No,
'cause
what-
we ate so much. Like I still remember, just
Yeah.
like you would never just stop at one plate when you're a kid. You always had a second. I was always hoping when my aunt made, I'd be at their place,
This
which I
must
basically
be like
was.
at a certain age, because like you see young kids now and they like won't even finish their food.
Yeah, I never did that.
All the kids I
yeah.
see now, like I have a friend who has a kid, she didn't finish even half her dinner.
The only reason I wouldn't do that is when
even
I was
your
young,
your
and if it
nieces
was
and
like
nephews.
peas or something, I did some gross veggie I didn't like. Right, that's where my dad would be like, "You got to finish that."
Yeah.
Quick question, because I'm curious what you
Yeah.
think about it. Because I notice, I mean, at least in the friends that I have that have kids, a lot of them will do like prepare the meal for the kid if it's really young, and then give the like an iPad, so it's always stimulated
Mm,
while it's eating.
yeah.
While it's eating, while they are eating.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, do you think that the lack of eating food is because they're already being stimulated by like watching something and they don't want to finish the food, like, or they're
Yeah,
done with it?
100%. Oh, I think
Oh, I
that's
don't
just
know,
I think it's a bad habit to get into.
but
like,
I don't
we
know if
didn't-
it's. I don't know if it stops them.
Well, because now
I feel like if
they're just
anything, it
focused on the iPad. They're not
Exactly.
like.
I feel like
focused-
if anything, it would do the opposite. Maybe with really young kids, right? Because you could easily just take. They can get distracted.
they're just trying to stop. Like, this is it's so hard these days.
But his
because of the
question,
iPad.
specifically his question, I don't think so. I
I
think
think
if
it
anything,
could.
it actually hardwires you for the opposite, where it's like when I watch TV, I must be eating.
Mm.
It has this Pavlovian association now, where you're like, we're watching TV, I'm getting hungry. This is what I do. Because I remember even my parents being super strict on that. They're like, TV's in the kitchen. That is insanity. Like, you can't do that. You know, you can go watch TV when we're done dinner. Like that.
Yeah,
type of
we
thing.
were not allowed to
Yeah.
have TV on.
Yeah.
Like at all. But we watched. Me and my brothers would watch. So say we had like that was the day we got to ball out. I was grade 8 or 9, and it would be like PA day or whatever, right? But both my parents had to work, so I was babysitting all day. Dude, we made Nutella crepes for lunch,
That's what's up.
and Ad would make the most concentrated mix of Country Time lemonade. It was so
That's a kid thing.
sweet.
That's
It would knock you on the
That's
floor.
100%.
Right?
That's 100% a
So
kid that's not paying rent.
He was
That's
in
the
charge of
best.
that. Noah was young, so he didn't do anything. And I would just make a straight up Nutella crepes, and we'd watch Family Feud. Those are good memories.
That's living.
But that's a treat.
All right, wrap it up.
Wrap
All
it
right,
up.
Let's wrap it. That's enough about our
that's a
childhood
food.
memories of food.
Let's wrap it up like a wrap.
Wrap it up burrito style.
Thanks so much for watching. Comment below how your experience was growing up, and how you developed your relationship with eating and food and stuff in general. We'd love to know. Everyone's different. Nothing is right or wrong. It's just about making better habits for your overall health, especially as you age, and then you have to be an example for your kids. So please subscribe, like, comment, share, laugh, cry, make fun of Tim. No, don't do that. And we'll see you next time.